The cargo bay of the derelict Zephron station smelled like rust and desperation. Roger wiped the sweat from his brow as he surveyed the scattered crates, each one a potential gold mine in the Outer Rim's black market. Salvage work wasn't glamorous, but it kept him fed. "Over here!" Madison's voice crackled through his helmet comm. "You need to see this!" Roger navigated through the debris field, his magnetic boots clanking against the metal floor. Madison stood before a half-crushed storage unit, her headlamp illuminating something that made his blood run cold. Two pairs of enormous eyes stared back at them from the darkness. "Don't shoot!" The voices were tiny, desperate, and unmistakably terrified. Roger's hand instinctively moved away from his plasma pistol. As his eyes adjusted, he saw them clearly. Two small beings, no taller than his knee, with luminescent skin that pulsed faintly blue. They were identical, clearly twins, with delicate features and four-fingered hands that clutched each other desperately. "Please," the left one whispered, its voice carrying a musical quality despite the fear. "We need help." Madison knelt down slowly, her engineer's curiosity overriding her caution. "What are you doing here? This station's been abandoned for months." "Our parents," the right twin began, then stopped, its bioluminescence flickering like a dying light. "They hid us here. Said they'd come back." Roger felt something twist in his chest. He'd seen enough abandoned stations to know what happened to people who stayed too long. "How long have you been here?" 73 cycles, they said in unison, their synchronized speech eerie yet heartbreaking. "That's over 2 months," Madison translated, her voice tight. She looked up at Roger, and he could see the concern in her eyes even through her helmet's visor. "They're starving." Roger's mind raced. Taking on passengers, especially alien ones, violated a dozen salvage regulations. The Terran Authority didn't look kindly on unauthorized contact with non-coalition species. But looking at those tiny, frightened faces, he found himself not caring about regulations. "Our ship's docked on the North Port," he said, making a decision that would probably cost him his license. "Can you walk?" The twins nodded eagerly, their bioluminescence brightening with hope. They scrambled out of their hiding spot with surprising agility, though Roger noticed how thin they were, their skin stretched tight over delicate frames. As they made their way through the station's twisted corridors, the left twin suddenly tugged on Roger's suit. "Sir, the humans, are they really as the stories say?" "What stories?" Madison asked, helping the right twin over a collapsed beam. "That humans never leave anyone behind," the right twin continued. "That they fight for those who cannot fight. That they make impossible promises and keep them." Roger felt his throat tighten. He'd heard the legends, of course. Humanity's reputation in the galaxy had become almost mythical since they'd joined the interstellar community. Their stubborn refusal to abandon allies, their seemingly insane courage in the face of overwhelming odds, their peculiar emotional attachment to anything they deemed worth protecting. "Those are just stories, kid," Roger muttered, though even he didn't believe his own words. They reached the airlock of Roger's ship, the Wandering Star, without incident. Once inside and pressurized, Roger and Madison removed their helmets. The twins stared at them with wonder, as if seeing human faces properly for the first time. Madison headed to the galley, returning with ration bars and water. The twins ate with desperate hunger, their small hands trembling as they clutched the food. "Thank you," they whispered between bites. "Thank you, thank you." Roger sat down heavily, the weight of what he'd just done settling on his shoulders. "We need to figure out what to do with you two. What species are you? Maybe we can find your homeworld." The twins exchanged a glance, their bioluminescence dimming. The left one spoke first. "We are Lixian. Our world is gone." "Gone?" Madison's voice was sharp. What do you mean gone? The Kresh Collective, the Wright twins said, its voice barely a whisper. They came 3 cycles ago. Our parents put us on an evacuation ship, but it was attacked. They crashed here, hit us, then— The twins' voice broke. They went to draw the Kresh away. Silence filled the ship's cabin. Roger knew of the Kresh, a ruthless expansion force that had been pushing into neutral space. The Terran Authority had been debating intervention for months, mired in political red tape. The Kresh are still hunting us, the left twin continued. They want to erase all Lixians. We are the last ones who know the location of— The right twin suddenly grabbed its sibling's arm, cutting off the sentence. Their eyes went wide with fear as they looked at Roger and Madison. The location of what? Roger pressed gently. The twins huddled together, trembling. Finally, the left one spoke, its voice barely audible. The Archive of Lixia. It contains the complete history, culture, and genetic records of our people. Our parents died protecting its location. If the Kresh find it, they will destroy the last evidence that we ever existed. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Roger felt his heart stop, then restart with a thunderous rhythm. He looked at Madison, saw his own shock reflected in her face. You're telling us, Madison said slowly, that you 2 children are carrying the coordinates to your species' entire legacy, and the Kresh are actively hunting you? The twins nodded in unison. Roger stood up, his jaw set with determination. He'd made salvage runs across hostile territory, outrun pirates, and survived more close calls than he could count. But this was different. This was 2 children carrying the weight of an entire civilization on their tiny shoulders. How far to the archive? He asked. The twins' bioluminescence flared bright with desperate hope. 3 parsecs, but the route passes through Kresh patrol space. No one would be crazy enough to— Then it's lucky for you, Roger interrupted, a grim smile crossing his face. That humans specialize in crazy. Madison was already at the navigation console, plotting courses. We'll need to make 2 jumps, skirt the Helix Nebula, and pray our cloaking field holds. We can't do this, the right twin protested weakly. You would risk your lives for strangers? For a dead species? Roger knelt down to their eye level, placing a gentle hand on each twin's shoulder. You asked if the stories about humans are true. Let me tell you something. We don't let children become the last of their kind. Not on our watch. The left twin's eyes filled with tears that sparkled like liquid starlight. But why? Why would you do this for us? Roger thought about all the reasons he shouldn't. The danger, the illegality, the near-certain death that awaited them in Kresh space. Then he thought about 2 tiny beings who'd survived alone for months, clinging to hope and the memory of parents who'd sacrificed everything. Because, Roger said simply, that's what humans do. Madison fired up the engines, and the wandering star lurched away from the derelict station. As they accelerated toward the jump point, the twins pressed against the viewport, watching the stars stretch into lines. What are your names? Madison asked softly. I am Zin, said the left twin. And I am Zara, said the right. Roger settled into the pilot's chair, his hands steady on the controls despite the suicide mission ahead. Behind him, he heard Madison explaining the ship's systems to the curious twins, heard their musical laughter as she showed them Earth pictures from her datapad. 3 parsecs through enemy territory. Impossible odds. 2 children carrying the soul of a civilization. Just another day of being human. The wandering star jumped to hyperspace, carrying its precious cargo toward either salvation or oblivion. In the end, Roger thought, it didn't matter which. Some things were worth fighting for, worth dying for. Some promises, once made, had to be kept.